Hey guys, I've had several requests. Can you go over some basic instrumentation, how to measure, basic instruments of measurement, things that we would measure, how to measure it, everything from, say, scales, if you will, to precise measuring instruments, to verniers. We're going to go over that today. And how do you do threads? What is threads? Let's just go into a brief explanation of this. So, without further ado, let's start at the bottom. Of course we will. Let's say we have a typical quarter 20. You say, well, how do you know it's a quarter 20?
Yeah, what does quarter 20 even mean?
I drew up a little chart here, and if you'll have a look, see, here's what it says. In this bolt that we have here, it tells you that the diameter is 1/4 of an inch.
Now that's outside diameter, even of the threads or the...
It'll be both. It'll be both. Say if we're going to measure it here, and we'll take the, let's take this one. Now notice we have both. This is a Brown and Sharp instrument here.
Yep.
Some Micrometer here. There's several companies make them out there. That's, you just want to check it. So let's take, and that's 1/4 of an inch.
Okay.
Now, and it measures the same out here on your threads. 1/4 of an inch. Now, you're saying, whoa, hold it just a minute. You're getting way ahead of us here. Let's start with our micrometer. How do we read this?
Yeah, how do you read that?
How does the mic read? You're saying, what is that? A micrometer? It's micrometer, if you will. This in particular one is here is from 0 to 1 inch, is what it will measure, by 10,000ths of an inch. That point 0 to 1 tells you that by 10,000ths of an inch that it will measure that full 1 inch.
It's quite accurate for such a little gauge,
A little piece, sure is. And you're saying, well, how does it do that? Well, it in and of itself doesn't do it. It's up to the operator to do it. So let's take that. First thing we're going to do is we're going to check our instrument. And we're going to come out here to 1 inch, which is here.
Yep.
And that's from 0 to 0 here.
Okay.
That'll be a full inch out this way here. So, well, okay, what do?
Got your
when you buy that,
instrument.
it comes with its standards.
Okay.
This is, it's within about maybe 20 millionths of an inch accuracy on this. Sure. So we're just going to check this to here and see, is it there?
Where you at?
Wouldn't you know it?
Double zeros? Let me get that.
It's all the way through.
Oh, yeah.
Some people ask me sometimes, well, how do you hold one of these? It's a delicate instrument. Yes. Why not do this? It's a little machine shop practice. Just take your little finger, hook it into that thing, and now then you got the others to work with here. Can't get out of your way here. There it is.
There you go.
And you can take your part when you have it like that and just bring it up and measure.
There's Sam's tip of the day.
Turn it up right to here. So now, let's look at the instrument while we have it here.
Okay.
You have your standard set in here. It measures the inch. You say, well, what's all them little lines and stuff around through here? Let's go into that briefly. Let's take our standard out. I'll just drop it out here. Notice the way this is graduated. You have 0, and you got a little line, and then big line.
Yep.
That is this. Imagine this thread running through here, if you will. And the pitch of that, when you turn this one revolution here, say let's come down to, let's start off down here at the very bottom. And this right here is called an artificial feel, if you will. It takes it away from you trying to wind it up. So when it comes down to
so that you don't over tighten it or underdo
see,
it.
it does it, and it'll just keep spinning, but it's at your 0.
Okay.
So now, if we go out here, one full turn. So and this thing's graduated from 0 to 25. So let's go one turn.
Where you at?
Now that is 25,000ths of an inch.
Okay.
Is what that from now then the gap in here will read 25,000. Okay. Looking at it on paper would be that gap would be going from here, and this is the high point of a thread. Say like if you laid this down here, it's kind of exaggerated, but there's one place on this thread here to the same place on the thread over here. That's called a pitch. Now then, and when you say, someone will say to you, well, what is the pitch on that? That's the distance from here to here. You say, okay, how do we figure that? Okay, remember, you got one full inch. It's fuzzy math. Now then, and we had a quarter 20.
Yeah.
Okay, 20 won't go into that. So if we got 100. And you're saying, well, what does that tell me? That tells you the distance on that you have, say, from on your pitch that you have from here to here, here to here to here. That is that distance.
Okay.
So, with that said,
You also said that 20.
that's the threads. Okay, and this full inch that we have here.
Yeah.
Let's take our scale. And your scale, by the way, is just it's a quick measurement of something. And it's graduated in tenths, hundreds, 30 seconds, 64s.
Okay.
So let's say if we was going to do a full inch here.
Yeah.
It's not quite cut down here for a full inch, but in that inch we're going to have 20, as indicated here. And 1 inch of bolt length on that, we're going to have 20 threads.
I see. Okay, so a quarter 20 means that it's a quarter inch in diameter.
And there's 20 threads
Per inch.
per inch.
Makes
Now
sense.
Then, and the pitch of that was what is the distance between, from say, one point on your thread here to the same point on the thread over there. That's the pitch, if you will.
Yep.
Now, in our next session, we're going to the metric system, which is, don't try to compare, well, this equals this, and 9/16 is to 15, or this or that. Let's just let each system stand of its own. Today, we're going into SAE. SAE stands for Society of Automotive Engineers. So when someone says something, well, that's a SAE. Now you know, Society of Automotive Engineers. Quarter 20 bolt that we have here. We know how we got to the threads. We know all of the particulars of this bolt here. We also know that from the pitch, it's from one point on the thread to the other. And when you're referencing and you're saying, okay, well, not all bolts are that way. No, you're going to know. Now, in this also, you have a quarter 24, which would tell you that it is a quarter inch diameter on the bolt, but it's 24 threads per inch.
So you'd see more threads per inch.
Or someone
on a
will call
quarter
that, say,
24.
is it a coarse or a fine?
I see.
Now, and you can refer to it that way, or you can get specific and say, okay, it's a quarter 20 or a quarter 24.
Makes
Now,
sense.
there's variations of that also, but just refer to it that way. You say, well, how would I know that? If I just picked this bolt up and I measured it, and use either one of these, are the same. And I'm down here, I'm at a quarter of an inch, and they'll give you the machine tolerance, which is 2 thousandths. These will not be exactly 250 thousandths. It will be whatever, and it's usually plus or minus 5 thousandths when these are made.
Okay.
So with that measured, now let's take and say, okay, it's a quarter of an inch. How many threads has it got? We'll start off with, and this is a thread gauge.
Oh, make it easy.
We'll make it easy. So this particular one, it's not cheating. I was just in the interest of time. This little gauge here says it's 20.
Okay.
And it's going to measure in 20. So let's just set it up in there.
Yep.
Look at that.
Fits right in there exactly like we wanted, huh? Let me get a good angle. There we go. Yep. Could you show us one that would
And
not
let's just
fit
take
in there?
one.
Like the 24 maybe?
Let's take one here, just the next one up. Here we give you some closeness on it. Here's even a 22, and you think, well, that'd be close, maybe it'll fit. No, it won't.
Doesn't
See
go.
that?
Yeah, not even at all. Wow.
It just
okay.
won't do. And it's the same thing. So you get you now, you say, well, okay, it measured a quarter of an inch in diameter.
Yep.
That 20 gauge went right in there. So I should be able to put a quarter 20 nut on it. Yes, you should. So let's take this. Well, how do I check that? We'll show you. You can first see if it's going to fit. Okay, it did. So now, if you want to check the ID of this,
Yeah.
let's check that.
What are you using?
A couple of ways you can measure it. Let's take this. You want to take your verniers, and they refer to it in the machine shop as very near, but it's just a slang thing on the thing. But it's called a vernier. And zero it out, and see, people say, update him, get him into the digital. Either one, as long as you get to the instrument, zero your gauge.
Yep.
Now let's check the ID of this for first. Would you look at that?
Let's see. Okay.
You're saying, well, that's not a quarter 20. Okay, you're not. You're exactly right. It won't measure exactly.
Because it's not
250
going to the
anything.
depth of the threads.
Very good.
Got
Very
it.
good. Park you right on top
Got
of
it,
it.
got it.
So, and you're saying, well, what's the other way of measuring that? You can go to, this snap gauge won't go that small, but you go to something like what they call a snap gauge. And while we're there, let's just measure one. It won't go down to, I don't have the one that goes down to
What
the
about
small
this?
here. It will measure that. So let's take, you put it into here
Yeah.
and just release it.
Oh, I see. It's spring-loaded on the end.
You want to tighten it right here and then just twist it. Bring it out.
Got it.
Then take your micrometer, check what that is. That'll be the ID of your hole. Now, they meant for it to be somewhere around 550.
550, okay.
550,000 something. So you're saying, well, could we also check it with a vernier? Sure. Just give it a check.
There it
Look
is.
at that.
550, just
Well,
about.
that's about 48, which that checked 48 on your snap gauge there. Those are some of your basic starts, and you can do the same with your large one down here. Just go up to a different size on your snap gauge here.
Okay.
And to get there, you say, well, how do I
Are
do
these
that?
the connecting rods out of George's Blazer?
Yeah, this is out the Blazer here. See that? There it goes right here. It's called Mighty Mouse. Here's what it's for. But you give your scale a quick check to get to here.
Yep.
So it looks like you're probably in a nth and age category, something like that.
Okay.
So you go with that size on your snap gauge. Do it the same way. There's no mystery about it. Once you get your basics down, and that's what we're looking to do, is I want you to remember on these, it's a delicate instrument, but treat it correctly, do your lifetime. Sure will on the thing. But buy good ones to start with. You know, I'm not advocating either one of these on anything, but just buy a good instruments to start with. And the same on your scales, the same. These are made by LS Starrett here, but as long as it's a good scale and it's down to, and you say, well, how do I know if it's a good scale? Measure it. Take you something that has a digital readout if you want to, and check the length here and some of the graduations on it.
So a good starting place would be to have a scale, your micrometers, snap gauges, and a vernier caliper, and then the, what do you
Thread
call
gauge.
it?
That's
The
the
thread
thread gauge,
gauges.
uh-huh.
Okay.
And it's just good starting places on it, and you say, well, okay, now that we've got that, what can we do with it?
Right.
For all of these instruments, you can find a link in the description to where you can purchase these.
Now let's just say that someone said, okay, you said all of that, let's do something with it.
Let's do it.
Okay, good. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to take here, let's just say that I wanted to, if I had me a piece of that,
Yep.
and I wanted to cut me some threads on it.
Okay.
Okay, good. Now then, remember this. A die, ID, check me out here.
Okay.
That's incorrect on the thing. A tap is ID, a die is OD.
Oh, I see.
Okay,
Okay.
I was just seeing if you're paying attention.
Oh.
Now, because one you're going to have inside diameter, one you're going to have outside diameter.
Got
You're
it.
saying, okay, what is that? This is a typical die. It's a quarter 20 die.
Okay.
And you would, if you use the thread is already on it, of course, well, let's just say that we're threading this up here. And I had this set up in a vise. Well, and I wanted to go deeper with my thread here. I just keep going up there with it. Yeah.
Right.
Now then,
Would this be a tap then?
then what I was going to say was, let's just say that if we wanted to make a hole in one for
Right.
a quarter 20 bolt to go into to hold something down, okay, let's start out with, you say, well, where do we start? What do we drill with on the thing? First off, let's do this. Let's consult our little chart here. And it says quarter 20. Imagine that.
Yeah.
It says to use a number 7 drill.
Okay.
And a number 7 drill, just flip your chart over. You say, well, what diameter is a number 7 drill? We'll go right down and do it. It's 201 thousandths.
Ah.
Imagine that. Take you, whatever measurement that you want to, if it's just a quick measurement you want to do, you can take your, and imagine that we it's up here to we're going to be off about 2 thousandths, and that's about the standards on these. 201 to drill. But don't drill it all the way first. Use a lead drill, less than. This is an 1/8" lead drill here.
Okay.
So you will come down to where your heavy hole was.
As far as lead drills go, you said you have an 1/8 inch there, and we're going to be drilling it for, you know, a 1/4-20. Do you generally do your lead drill about half of what
It
your
depends
final
on the
drill's
hole
gonna
that
be?
you're going to, for your final hole that you're going to. Now, when we're saying now like 1/4-20, or maybe 5/16, 18, and 3/8, something like that, usually 1/4 of an inch on the thing. What you're looking to do is, when you put too much pressure on, if you just go in with your big drill first, usually with that much pressure, you get a little wobble, and it'll make your hole too big.
Okay.
So you want to have some accuracy for your bigger drill to go into. Your smaller ones have a better, generally speaking, on lead in, when you go in here to cut your initial drilling, cutting your hole into another thing, a little bit better on those. Whereas on the bigger the drill, it has more of a cut out here when you flutes out here than it does at the very center.
I see.
We take it and we set it up. Take your center punch and make you a hole exactly where you want it to be. Or not a hole, but a little place where your drill can go into. Don't let it be walking around down here and whatever. You can hand drill it, machine drill it, whatever you've got there on it. Your lead drill it down to whatever depth that you want, that you're going to with your tap going into. Come back, put your final drill into it. Try to keep it as straight as possible. If you don't have a machine such as a drill press or whatever on it, just keep it as straight as you can. When you've got that, now it's time to come back with 1/4-20 tap,
Okay.
which, you know, it'll stay around here, 1/4-20.
Yeah.
And you can check this out, and it doesn't hurt one thing to check it out on anything. Just give it a quick, now should be 1/4 back here,
Yeah.
which it is, and should be same up here.
Yep.
Now, this is see the lead on this?
Yeah.
It's not a full thread at the start, and this is a starter tap.
Okay.
And you'll hear people say a bottoming tap or a starter tap on the thing. Now, you'll have, look at the difference. That's a bottoming tap.
Yep, I see.
Meaning the full thread is all the way to the end. And if you had a blind hole that you're going down into here, it'll thread it right to the very bottom. Say, if you look here, see the difference in those two out there?
Oh, I see. Yes, this one wouldn't cut all the way down.
No, it'll get down to this bottom out, but you don't have threads all the way to the bottom. See the
Right.
difference on it?
Oh, yeah.
So you have a bottoming tab, and then you have your starter.
Okay.
Now, if you've got a good through hole and it doesn't matter, you use this one all the way through, because the threads up here are the same.
Okay.
Once you've got that, then you're done. You can put this in. Just make sure you go to whatever the depth, the holding depth is that you're going to have onto your bolt that you want here, and the correct length of it, that is. And you're saying, well, how do you check the length of a bolt? Just quickly, here's what we got. Some folks are going to tell you to check it this way. That's incorrect. You want to check it from the underneath here to out there, like so.
Got it. So it's actually about
Well, this here's going to be right
1.9.
there. It's going to be right there. It's a 2-inch bolt.
It is 2 inch, yeah.
This is a 1/4-20 by 2.
Okay, because you're going from
Underneath the head here
Yeah.
to the very end.
got it.
So it's 1/4 inch diameter, 20 threads per inch, 2 inch in length.
Makes sense.
And then, we'll, like I said, in our next session, we'll go over the metric and how we do that. But it's the same, but it's a little bit better system, if you will. And people are going to say, well, why do you say that? It's a different way of measuring, a little bit more precise way of measuring that it does.
Okay.
Now, just a quick review. Back to our basic instruments. Now here you have a 1 to 2.
Okay.
Which simply tells you it'll measure everything from a 1-inch diameter to a 2-inch.
Yep.
That's all it says on it. So it has also thread, standard thread. Now, get up out of here. We'll go down 2, and you should come to 0 when you come to it. And you're saying, well, that's the same one for the 0 to 1. Well, sure you can, because you're going down to a 0 want to set it straight into your, you got it straight into your piece here. Okay.
Yep, zeroed out.
Now, a minute ago I alluded to what are the rest of these marks around this. Let's take a look at that for just a moment. Let's take this 0 to 1 here. You see you have the line starting here. There's another line going around this way.
Mm-hmm.
You have here. Now, you're saying, well, what is that? Okay, let's go down here. We'll come to our 0, artificial here. And let's come out about, let's come out to where you can read it good. And this right here lets you do a little thumb lock on it.
Yeah.
Now then, you would read that as 10 thousandths.
Hold on, I'm not focused.
Okay.
You read it as 10 because you can see one of the lines,
Mm-hmm.
right?
See, now you're at 10, but it's between it. Well,
Yeah.
just rotate your piece, and whichever line lines up here,
Call it the 5 or the 4
see, look right there.
or 6, yeah.
Right here. We'll call that a 5, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Because that's your one. So you have oops, it's not a real good phone.
Let me see.
And you'll hear different machinists refer to it a different way. They'll call it, it's 10 and 5. They're not going to say, what's 10 thousandths and 5 10 thousandths? No, in machine lingo, they'll say, it's 10 and 5. Guys, I really want to say thank you for watching. Hopefully we all learned something here. And if there's anything further we'd like to go over, please let me know, because this video here was done on just several people making a request to say, hey, basic instruments on it, what do we do? Taps, dies, micrometers, this and that. And that's what it's for. It's a how-to. And let's just learn a little bit about the machining processes, how to drill, how to tap, some of those sort of things. And no matter you're going up to the bigger stuff, same principles apply. Smaller, same principles apply. But let me know something on it. Subscribe. Hey, something you need? I don't know it till you tell me in the comments.